Good morning students. Welcome to the new session of bio class. In this video we will learn about economic importance of bacteria and fungi. This is lesson number 9 of your first term syllabus. When we say economic importance, that means what is their role of particularly of microorganisms like bacteria and fungi on commercial base. So the first half of chapter describes the role of bacteria and the next will be fungi. So bacteria, as you know, before we discuss its economic importance, we have to go through its structure and we will revise its shape and the nutrition, reproduction, mode of respiration and all those things. So first there is a general study. So you know that bacteria are most primitive unicellular organisms. They are also known as prokaryotes. They are prokaryotes. Prokaryotes because they lack true nucleus. That means they do not have a membrane bound nucleus. They have only nuclear material. And chromosome material is present which is not enclosed in a nuclear membrane. That is why we say they are prokaryotes. They are so numerous and everywhere. So they can adjust all kind of environmental conditions. They can be present in hot springs. They can be present in cool temperatures. There are so many bacteria even inside our human body, mouth, skin, intestines, etc. If we talk about its size, they are very, very small. You know that their size, average size of 2 micrometers. And shape-wise, bacteria is classified into 4 categories. We know that round or spherical are called cocci, singular is coccus. Rod shaped bacteria, this is round. Rod shape like this, they are called bacilli. Spirilla is for spiral shaped, this type of. Spirillum is singular and plural will be spirilla, like a spiral. And vibrio is for comma shaped bacteria, that is this shape. Alright. So among all these, if we generally categorize this cocci, further they are specifically categorized into 3-4 more names. Like if they occur in 2 pairs, then we call them, we use the word diplococcus. If the round bacteria occur in chains, you can see here chain of round bacteria, we call it streptococcus. And if they occur in bunches like this, then we call them staphylococcus. So you can see these are the various shapes. If we talk about its structure, this diagram you have read in chapter 1 also, same diagram is you have to revise once again. This is a bacterial cell, this is its chromosome. So this complete chromosome along with some cytoplasm will refer to its protoplasm. Cytoplasm contains various enzymes which are required for breakdown of food, that is respiration or other life processes. These are the glycogen granules. There is a cell wall. The cell wall is, you have to remember, made up of a substance called peptidoglycan. Chemical substance peptidoglycan. And it is given in your book. Here you can underline the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan and not of cellulose like in plants. And outside this peptidoglycan layer of cell wall, we have another extra mucilaginous sheath. Okay, that is called the capsule, or you can also write the mucilaginous sheath, protective covering called capsule. Movement, bacteria may or may not have flagella. They may move by passive transport, means along with the wind current or water current, they may, when they come in contact with water or wind, they may be moved. Otherwise they may have, some species have flagella, which is whip-like structure, which is used for locomotion. If we talk about nutrition, most of the bacteria are heterotrophic. When heterotrophic, then they can be either saprophytes, that means they draw their nourishment from dead matter, or they can be parasites. Parasites means you all know, which draw nourishment from the living body, that is they live inside the body of other organisms, which we call them host. If we talk about respiration, bacteria perform both the types of respirations. They can breathe in the presence of oxygen, then we call it aerobic bacteria, aerobes, or there are some species which do not require oxygen, we call them anaerobic. If we talk about reproduction, generally reproduction, mostly it is by means of fission, that is splitting into 2. So you have read in junior classes, bacteria reproduces by binary fission. One cell this one bacterial cell, first the nuclear material duplicates, and then the cell divides into two. Each of the cell gets the copy of nuclear material, genetic material. So one cell, this is the parent cell, forms two daughter cells. These are the newly formed cells. So this process is very common. We call it binary fission. Sometimes sexual reproduction is also seen in case of bacteria. When we talk about sexual reproduction, it is basically called by forming a tube-like structure. We call it conjugation. Process is conjugation. A conjugating tube is formed. If suppose this is one bacterial cell and this is another bacterial cell, then of different species, of different variety, then a tube-like structure is formed and they exchange their nuclear material, and such type of reproduction is called conjugation. Okay. Then sometimes bacteria develop spores to overcome unfavorable conditions. You can see here, when the situations, when the environmental conditions are not favorable, its protoplasm dries up and you can see it forms a sort of spore, contracts, and outside it they develop a thick wall, that is spore wall. And when the spores are present, then they can survive in any kind of temperature. That means very high, very low, even radiations. They cannot be killed by extreme dryness, cannot be killed even at temperatures of boiling water or frozen ice. So means these spores are actually, they can also tolerate poisonous chemicals. So we can say that it is the way of escaping unfavorable conditions. Spore formation in bacteria, it is not reproduction, it is actually a method of escaping unfavorable conditions. Now in the next we will discuss about useful role of bacteria. So as the chapter is about economic importance of bacteria is in basically three fields. One is medicine, then agriculture, and industry. Okay, so first is medicine. In the field of medicine, bacteria are used in preparation of antibiotics, serums, and vaccines. What are antibiotics? Antibiotics are chemical substances which are produced by living organisms, and they are further used to stop the growth of germs like bacteria and fungi itself. So you might have heard some names like the medicines which you take, they are all antibiotics. Examples are like streptomycin, chloromycetin, tetracycline, penicillin. So any two examples you can learn along with the definition. And in GK you must have read that penicillin was the first antibiotic. This was discovered by Alexander Fleming. But penicillin was not discovered from bacteria, it was discovered from fungi. The name of the fungus was Penicillium notatum. Okay, and they have described about a brief history how Alexander Fleming observed, or he discovered penicillium fungus. Actually he was growing a bacteria in a culture, and then he saw that after some few days a kind of growth has stopped the growth of bacteria. Bacteria stopped multiplying after few days. When he later on tried to identify, he came to know that it was actually a mold. The name is Penicillium notatum. So then he discovered that this thing has stopped the growth of bacteria. That means antibiotic is they release some chemicals which can stop the growth of other organisms. So such things are called antibiotics. After penicillin, the next antibiotic which was discovered was streptomycin, and it was discovered by Selman Waksman. Then what is the good criteria for a good antibiotic? Nowadays many antibiotics are prepared from microorganisms. So actually when we prepare antibiotics, we follow certain guidelines, like it should be able to kill variety of disease producing organisms. Means it should have a broad spectrum effect. Its effect should be broad. It should not produce undesirable side effects. Suppose you are taking some antibiotic, it should not cause any other disease. Okay, and it should not kill the normal bacteria of the host. Other uses of antibiotics, not only in the field of medicine, they are also used for preserving food like fresh meat and fish, for treating animal feed, for controlling plant pathogens. That means the organisms which cause diseases in the plants. And they are also used to kill diseases causing harmful microorganisms. The next role is about serums. Serums, actually serum means, like this is, you all know that your blood blood contains a fluid part which is called plasma, and in plasma there are some proteins. One of the protein is called fibrinogen. Fibrinogen. Now when we take out this fibrinogen after chilling, this fibrinogen protein forms a clot, and once we take out this fibrinogen from the plasma, the clear liquid which is left is known as serum. So serum actually means blood plasma from which fibrinogen has been removed, and it may contain numerous chemical substances including antibodies. Now serums are prepared by scientists. How they are prepared? Serums are used as a preventive measure against many bacterial invasions. For preparing serum, what we do is we take a small dose of bacterial toxin, means small poison, in very weak form, is introduced in the body of a healthy animal, like animals like horses or cows, and the body will then produce, body's immune system will be activated, it will produce antitoxins. So when antitoxins will be produced to neutralize the effect of the toxin which we have already introduced, so after several injections, antitoxins go on collecting, and then blood of such animal is taken, and upon chilling the fibrinogen will be removed, and then the clear straw which is left will be called as serum, and this serum will be now rich in antitoxins. So one such example is like the serums are used for snake bite treatments, for injecting particular antivenin, that means to kill the or to neutralize the effect of the poison. In the same way, nowadays genetic engineering, the branch of the science, has made it possible that it is possible to introduce some kind of genes in bacteria. For example, E. coli, that is Escherichia coli. In this from this bacteria, we, by introducing the genes which produce insulin hormone in our body, can be extracted. Okay, and similarly few other serums which are prepared are like blood clotting factor 8 for treatment of hemophilia A, and factor 9 for treatment of hemophilia B. So all these are the names of the serums. They are prepared from the body of the animals. The third type of role in the field of medicine for bacteria is preparation of vaccines. So vaccine, once again, vaccine is actually a weakened germ or a dead germ which is introduced in the body so that immune system becomes activated and it starts producing antibodies. So vaccination will be the process or introduction of weakened germs, of dead germs into the body for developing resistance to a particular disease. So like serums, vaccines are also available, and examples are like vaccine for cholera, typhoid, measles, chickenpox, etc. On injecting them into the body, the person gets disease in mild form, but his body will get stimulated to produce antitoxins. These antitoxins provide immunity against any future attack. Means once these antitoxins or antibodies are formed, they remain in your blood circulation forever, and whenever you will have any attack by these germs, they will fight with them, and as a result you will not get the disease. Okay, so two common vaccines obtained by bacteria, the two examples you can underline in your book. One is TAB vaccine for typhoid, and one is BCG for tuberculosis. Now the next term is toxoids. Toxoids are inactivated toxins, means toxins is poisonous substance, some chemicals which are toxins, but they are inactivated, means not active enough, of the particular bacteria which can stimulate the production of respective antibodies. Means whenever we introduce these toxins, they are always in inactivated form. They will not give the disease, but they will stimulate the immune system to produce antibodies. And examples are given here. For example, for producing immunity against diphtheria and tetanus. Okay, now in the next video we will discuss the role of bacteria in the field of agriculture.